Folks, I made a serious mistake when initially driving the Civic Si, and the mistake that I made was looking at the numbers. So the first video I did on this car was talking about the 0 to 60 time of the car. That's great for marketing and comparing it to other cars, but it really doesn't tell any of the story in terms of why you would buy this car. So that was a serious mistake that I made, and I was kind of let down because I was like, man, 7.5 seconds, that's not that fast. But this car isn't about fast. It's about checking every single box in a daily driver while still being a car that's fun to drive on fast roads, and more importantly, being lightweight. So this shares a bunch of parts with the Civic Type R. For example, the rev matching. I'm in sport mode, so when I downshift, perfectly rev matches for me, which I really like. The other thing is the wheels. These are some of the best factory wheels on any car I've ever seen ever. They're incredible. They're 18 inches, so you're still getting ride comfort, and they come with the Goodyear Eagle F1s on them, which I had in my Focus ST. Used those tires for about 30,000 miles, and they are excellent. They're soft and sporty, but still a comforting ride on the highway. And I'm so mad at myself for being upset at this car at first because it's so great, and the second I started to get in some turns is when I realized how great this car is. So we're about to head into some twisties, and I'm gonna just give you some feedback on what the car is like. So it's very efficient, and also the gauges, it's a partial digital dash, which I like. You're able to slightly customize the digital dash, and I like that, and it also has just the analog dial for the speedometer on the right. The balance of this car on the front axle just makes you seem like all the weight's over the front axle and we're just pivoting around it. It doesn't at all handle like a front wheel drive car, and there's virtually no torque steer that I can detect. The other thing that Honda has always done well, and I owned a 2011 Civic Si Coupe, that was my first car. What Honda does well is, yeah, they don't have the best power numbers, maybe like the Ford Focus ST, but what they do have are all the right bits. They put on the right tires. This is the HPT, or high performance tire package, in the Civic Si, so you can pick an all season if you want. It also has a limited slip differential up front, which is so important, especially in a front wheel drive car. It's just so important to have that to pull you through turns, and it really makes the chassis feel more sophisticated. It also has normal and sport mode. Sport mode, you're able to have slightly better throttle response. Also, the steering gets heavier. So now we're going into a sharp turn in second. Digs in nicely. And there's no torque steer coming out of the turn. Man, is this nice. So well composed. It's lightweight. That's so important nowadays and so rare. They've got a lighter flywheel on this, which is, you know, I'm not going to tell you like, oh, I noticed the lighter flywheel. What I will say is it revs really nicely. It revs very linearly. It feels lightweight. It feels similar to the Mazda Miata, which is probably the most fun car I've ever driven. This is close, but this is in a way better because you can fit everyone in. I guess it's not better, it's just for a different person. It can fit 5 people comfortably. If you were going on a golf trip, you could easily put 4 people in here and 4 sets of clubs in the back because the trunk is massive. The exhaust note, really nice. The sound is piped into the car through software, so it's not a natural sound quite. They've just amplified it. With a turbocharged engine, it's hard to get the old sound that they did out of the original VTECs, but my God. One downside to it, there is some rev hang. That can be tuned out if you want to. The reason they have to do that is for efficiency of the car. There is some rev hang, but you know Honda will have that tuned out eventually if you want to go that route, and you'll be able to get a lot of power out of this engine just with some bolt-ons because it comes stock with a turbo. But geez, it handles so incredibly well, and this is the mistake I made. This is how this car should be enjoyed, is on roads like this and not just looking at 0 to 60 times. I'm happy that I'm taking it out here because they've done an excellent job. So on the rev match downshifting that the car has, you kind of have to hold the clutch in a second longer for it to do it. The power band in this thing has been approved across basically the entire rev range, so you don't have to run the car out to get all the power out of it. It's going to be pretty good just about anywhere you're at in the lower gears. But man, is it well balanced. And it sounds good too. I think it sounds good. If I'm not mistaken, the new exhaust has 27% more airflow over what comes on the Civic Touring. Brakes bite too. Larger diameter brakes over the standard Civic. So fun turning this car. I'm throwing a lot at it and it's just eating it all up. This car is great, and the Type R is going to be crazy. I actually think, you know, the previous generation Civic Si, it was pretty aggressively styled. This is not nearly as aggressively styled. And the Type R, I think, is going to benefit from that. A lot of people were turned away by the looks of it. The way I looked at it, it was all mainly functional for downforce. It set records for hatchbacks, for front-wheel drive cars. It was the best. So now I think it will be appreciated by a lot more people because the looks aren't so polarizing. So that's going to be something to look forward to. But this being a four-door, it just makes a lot of sense. It has a lot of space, it's highly efficient, and it's very fun to drive. Thank you to Honda for letting me use this car and review it, because it's, you know, I'm a Honda fanboy at heart. It was my first car. I'd like to get actually probably the new Type R. We'll see what it ends up looking like, what it costs. But I've always loved Hondas. I think they make a lot of sense, and the SI especially is just a package that's been refined over time and is really hard to beat. So yeah, if you guys are looking into getting one of these, I don't think you're going to be upset. But again, don't get caught up with the numbers and the straight line speed, because this car has so much more to offer than that. And when you're on a road like this, it all makes sense. So subscribe to the channel if you can still see me. Drop a like if you wouldn't mind. I know it's hard to put your hand on the keyboard or screen or whatever you're doing, but I think you should drop a like on this one. So thank you for watching. Appreciate the support, and we'll see you next time.